Hi everyone, this is Penguin Trades and this is our review for the ES and NQ futures for September 24th. We're going to start off here on the ES and then hop over to the NQ after. So this is our overnight high, this is our overnight low, these are our key levels for the day. I started trading at 8 Central Time, which is this area right here. So starting off, we have this push off the overnight high. It's, very clear. This is our overnight low, this is our overnight high. We're between the levels, and now this right in the middle here, the bears want to make a new low because this downtrend has a break, and the bulls want to make a new high. So uptrend, break, first attempt higher, second attempt higher, and then you can look for the failure here because you have your 2 attempts at a new high, and it's still far from making a new high. On the other side of the count, you have downtrend, break, first attempt lower, and this is the start of that second attempt lower. Now, since this swing pushed past this right here, it's looking like a two-legged break. It's very common to for price to have a break in the form of 2 legs and then make 2 legs down. But one price action level at a time. This is your first attempt lower, and this is the second attempt lower. It's forming a failed second entry. From the high here, you have first entry long, second entry long, and then this is where the failure entry would be. Now, in this case here, I don't actually see a trade to take. I'm just explaining, how price plays out and how trends play out. So again, this area dropped down here because it had confluence to go short with this uptrend. So again, the downtrend, you're entering right here on the second attempt at a new low. Price generally attempts things in moves of 2s. That's how second entries form. And on the flip side, you're getting the second attempt at a new high failure. So this downtrend and this uptrend have confluence for this entry here. Again, not that there is an entry here. You didn't hold off of anything clear. You barely got back below the EMA right there. This uptrend or this measured move is still in play. It could easily tick lower and then push up and reach it. Overall, it's just not ideal. I would have liked to see a push lower into a smaller failed second entry from here. That way we can use the momentum from this failure. And then after it's, pushing down, showing that the failure is working, push into a smaller failed second entry, get a couple legs back. But as you can see, that doesn't happen. It just pushes below, starts to go sideways, gets a bit choppy, and continues into this wider channel. So we go into this channel, price overshoots and also breaks the overnight low. So when a channel has an overshoot, those generally lead to breaks, because what an overshoot means is, in the case of a downtrend, it means oversold. Some people have RSIs and stochastics, and I'm not trying to knock any of that, but you can, determine if price is oversold or overbought just by using the bars on your screen. Channels, downtrend, with a downtrend here, if price is pushing out the lows, then, this channel is no longer holding neatly. That means there's so much selling pressure that it can no longer sustain this channel because it's just pushing on out the low of it. And that it generally indicates oversold, and so that's why it's so common to lead to spikes in the other direction, to breaks. And so here we have 2 attempts to reverse. Price does end up being held down by the overnight low here. So you can really see from here with these couple legs back, it really is a failed second entry. Even though this part right here is still within this trend down, it's clearly making a brand new leg due to that overshoot. So you have downtrend, couple legs back, so downtrend break, expecting price to attempt a new low, but it did get pretty heavily above the overnight low there, holding above, and then it barely got back below, but it did end up acting as a retest and pushing on lower. I didn't like this lower high just due to the fact that it got so sideways right before it, and also, the couple bars before it were pushing back into the overnight low. It's just not an ideal lower high here. So anyway, it does end up working. We push on down, and now as we push up here, this 2-legged move down is clearly on a bigger picture 1 leg. Now, I just want to show. So this played out very typically. So that we have the downtrend, overshoot led to a break. So, the point is, whether there's overshoot or not, the downtrend has a break and we can expect prices to make a new low. First attempt lower, second attempt lower, and then failure. It has not made a new low. Price is now reversing on the failure. And we have our first attempt to reverse and our second attempt to reverse. So this is now a second entry short, holding off of the overnight high, the overnight low. But I'm not taking this necessarily just as a second entry. The reason I like this here is because we have 2 attempts to reverse after our first attempt at a new low. Because as soon as this 2-legged move stalls and isn't able to get past this level, obviously that first indication on this first leg, when price is showing that it can't reverse, you have to look for bigger picture structures. That's when you combine these 2 smaller legs into 1 leg, and then you have a 2-legged break from this first attempt, and then you look to get in on the second larger attempt. So, after this downtrend had its break and had these 2 legs to a new low right here, price could have faded on up, and then that could have just been the end of it. But since price cannot fade back up, clearly there's more bearish, there's a bearish presence here that's preventing price from fading back in. You need to look for wider channels, bigger structures. You need to combine the legs. And as you can see, we push on lower here. This is the entry for that second attempt at a new low. Price pushes on down to a new low. And as soon as price makes that new low, it doesn't even reach the measured move, but as soon as it makes that new low, it immediately has a strong fade back into the overnight low. And so, again, downtrend, break, 2 attempts to a new low, immediately leads to a reversal, price pushing back above the overnight low. So I hope this helps you understand, seeing bigger picture structures and combining legs and stuff like that. So anyway, we continue on higher here. We're going into this channel. Now, we're fading, but this is a competition zone because the bulls want to continue the fade. Fades are very strong, and obviously there's a lot of bulls that are clearly getting in on that. However, this downtrend is getting a break just as we're fading up. When a downtrend gets a break, you can expect prices to attempt a new low. And so there's going to be bears that want to make a new low here. Now, in this case here, as you can see, hindsight, is 2020. You can see that clearly no bears came into the market. It just continued on higher. However, this is a common area to get a couple attempts lower because, again, downtrend, break. What I really would have liked to see in this area is 2 attempts at a new low. So let me just draw this up here. And then let me draw the other side of the count. So here, downtrend, break, first attempt lower, second attempt lower. That way you could enter on the new low failure, the failure to make a new low with 2 attempts, holding off of the overnight low. And on the other side of the count, you have first entry short, second entry short, failure. And so this is what I would like to see, a reversal pattern that's confluent with the downtrend that just broke. That way you can get along, but in this case here, price just, we break this little uptrend here a little bit sideways, push to a new high, and then it just goes into this little, more healthy channel. This is a spike up. These generally don't last very long. This is a more healthy angle for a channel. And so we start going up into that, and then price overshoots. Overshoots lead to breaks, just like I explained over here, and it ends up holding, but we do get our spikes, attempting to reverse. We get our first attempt lower. So you can really see here, this right here, even though this is small and it's, like this right here, you'll view as a downtrend and you'll see this as a leg. But you have to understand that this leg down is still a downtrend, okay? You have to view it as a downtrend with breaks and everything like that. So downtrend, break, and then this is our first attempt lower. It's made that new low, but it still only has 1 attempt. The measured move is still in play, and it was after an overshoot, which tends to lead to breaks. So it's not surprising that we very quickly got another attempt down. So downtrend, break, first attempt lower, second attempt lower, clearly made a new low. We're holding off of this trend line right here. At first, it broke out, obviously, as you can see, but quickly after that, it pushed back in, closing back inside of this range. And I do like entering that in order to reach these highs here, but as you can see, price did not come back for me. I was a bit late on it, and yeah, so this was a limit order, no fill. Anyway, we continue on higher here. We break out of these highs and start to fade back in. So breakout, fade. We just kind of make this double bottom, and it looks like this range is now widening because we have, this high up here, which matches with this up here, and then these two. So it looks like we're going into something a bit wider. We'll see what price does. Pushed off this, high here. First leg down. Could start the second leg down there. And possibly just continue going sideways. It could have a 2-legged move down and, reach this measured move and then just fade back in and then continue playing the range. So we'll see what happens. I'd like to see a second leg down because that could happen soon. I might stick around for that, although I'm going to do the NQ review before. And so anyway, I'm going to hop over to the NQ now. And yeah, so here we are. Again, overnight high, overnight low, key levels for the day. I started trading at 8 Central Time, right around here. And so we have this uptrend, break, and then our first attempt at a new high, and then second attempt at a new high. And then as soon as we get that second attempt up, price starts pushing below here. Now, you can see here, there's this lower high that can look tempting because it's right after this 2-legged move up, price pushes below the EMA, and then it kind of goes sideways, and then you have this entry that's at the high of this little range here. Now, it's not a clear reversal pattern. It's pretty choppy, and it's closing above the EMA on this bar here, and then it's holding back above on the entry bar, or on the signal bar. And so I don't like that there. But, it is close. If it could have just set up better. What I would like to see is a little bit more of a further push down, so that way there'd be more room for 2 clear legs to the EMA. But you know, it just doesn't happen here. So anyway, we have downtrend, break, new low, or I could say first attempt at a new low. It made the new low with the wicks there, as you can see, pushes on up, and then we have our second attempt lower, which clearly makes a new low. And so anyway, it doesn't reverse from there. Price attempts to reverse higher after that new low, but it ends up just continuing on down. And so we go into this right here. Notice we are forming this channel here. Got a little bit out of whack there. And so we're going into this channel here, but then price overshoots. Now, again, overshoots tend to lead to breaks, but in this case here, it just continued on overshooting, kept overshooting, and then by the time it starts pushing on higher, it basically retested the low of the channel. I mean, you can see it did, you know, obviously go in a little bit, but basically that's all you got was a retest, push on out again. So it didn't clearly, you know, push back in and hold off either side really. But the point is, we don't have 2 clear attempts to fade the overnight low here. The overnight low, you know, that's a major key level. When price breaks out, you want to see 2 attempts to fade in order to get short on the breakout, because you need to get in on the failure in order to buy the breakout. You know, you can't just go short right here because you have a red bar pushing out the low. You need to wait for 2 attempts to fade so you can enter on a failure. Now, we push on lower here. Again, this is a lower high. It's not a clear 2-legged, you know, move attempting to fade, so nothing there. We push on lower here, and we have this new low. And then price starts making another couple attempts up. We have our first attempt to fade, second attempt to fade. Not very clear on that second leg. It started getting a bit sideways. It's, you know, pretty choppy this whole way here. But one important thing is, you know, at first, you know, we had the trend lows right here from these highs, the lows off that swing. Overshot. I forgot to mention that there, it overshot, and you know that still was not enough to push it out the other side. And so then here, when price overshoots again, since it's overshooting to that same level, all that's really happening here is the trend is widening. So it's not really an overshoot at this point. This is just the trend widening. And so we push on up here. We have his first leg up, second leg up. Now, just like with range rules, how if you come off one side, you want to see 2 attempts to reach the other side before continuing, you know, in the direction. I kind of jumbled my words up here. Just like in a range where when you come off one side, you can expect price to make 2 attempts to reach the other side. When you're coming off of a channel low, you can also expect price to make 2 attempts to reach the other side. Because this is a key level, even though they have a bias, there is still, you know, bullishness to be expected after coming off the low. And so we have uptrend, break, you know, it makes a new high with the wick, not the body, but the point is we don't have a clear 2-legged move up. You know, even though we have a second entry short right here and it's sideways, I would want to see something really significant holding well, considering we're coming off of the trend low right here, which again, you want to see 2 clear attempts to reach the other side, not 1 clear attempt and then a break and then another attempt that's kind of just going sideways with it, with the measured move still in play. Price could easily just tick lower from this red bar and then push up to the measured move and then continue short, you know, after retesting this measured move and the overnight low. So nothing there for me. We continue on lower, make a new low, we hold right off that low again and then have a spike up, fading back into the overnight low. Now we fade back in, and also at that same time we break this trend right here. So this trend is clearly valid. It only has 2 bounces off those highs, but these lows have 3. It's very clearly in play. And so what I'd like to see here is after the fade, I would like to see 2 clear attempts to make a new low, ideally retesting the overnight low. And so you can see here, I'm drawing this out from this low count. We have first entry short, second entry short failure, and that would be ideal because on the flip side, this downtrend would have confluence because the downtrend would have a break and first attempt lower, second attempt lower. You have your 2 attempts at a new low. So you can get in on the failure at a new low, get in on the failed second entry, holding off the overnight low. That is an ideal looking trade in this area, but as you can see, price is unable to give us a correction. It just cranks on higher. So anyway, we push on up here, it starts to go a bit sideways, we get all these entries not reaching the EMA. Finally, we reach the EMA here, but it's just a first entry, so it doesn't matter. And on the flip side, yeah, you might view that as a failed second entry, first entry short, second entry short failure, but you still have a clear measured move up right there. So, you know, you just don't want to take that. You know, this uptrend right here has a break and a new high, and it didn't reverse, which means, you know, we're going into a wider trend. And yes, we're holding off this trend, but I don't like that as a failed second entry because, again, you already have your 2 measured legs up. And so really that's just a first entry. And to anyone wondering, there's a tick high right there saying, oh no, that's a second entry. There's a tick high right there. To me, I don't care about each tick that goes by. I care about bigger picture structures, clear trend breaks, structure breaks, not, wicks. I just see one leg down there. Now we continue on up, and we have some rejection to this channel here, but very quickly price spikes on through. And so just like I explained on the ES, when price spikes out of a channel overshooting, that does create its new trend. You can, expect it to play out as any other trend. And so we have uptrend, and then we get a break. Price starts pushing up to make a new high, but then right at that same level, it starts pushing down. So from this high here, it's clear that we have a 2-legged move down. I'm going to copy this over because they're not. All right, so it's clear we have a 2-legged move down here. At first, it's closing too high up here. Ideally, you get a retest of the overnight low, because when you break out of the overnight level, you want to wait for 2 clear attempts to fade before buying the breakout. And at this point here with this green bar, yeah, you're holding off this double top here. You have 2 legs down, but you're also right into that previous trend line, and you don't have much room to this high right here, this clear double top. So it's not an ideal entry there. Now we push on up, price pushes lower, and now we've actually met the measured move. So we have this measured move down, price has perfectly met it. It's a clear 2 attempts to fade, even though we have this extra push down here. We did make a double top there, and because of this resistance, price pushed back up, which prevented it from immediately reaching the measured move. But the point is, we have a clear measured move that's met, 2 attempts to fade the overnight high right here, and then we get a rejection right off the overnight high. So this uptrend has a small break, which we can expect price to attempt a new high. It could get a bigger picture break, but in this moment here, we have to consider this context, this failure, the overnight failure, the fade failure. And so that's why I like this right here. Small trade, only to halfway into the range. I didn't mind pushing it into the EMA given the context of it. From here, we have a failed second entry. First entry short, second entry short, and then as it pushes lower here, even though we have this push above this green bar here, this was still within this structure right here, and only after it broke this structure did we get the failure. And so, uptrend, 2-legged break, it's continuing on down the whole way, and then after we break out of this little range right here, so that means we can look to fade it and also hold off this trend line right here, then we get our real entry to make a new high for this uptrend. So it really is uptrend and then break. This whole thing is the break. It's just so sideways it can be a little bit difficult to tell. And then this is the attempt at a new high right here. So the measured move would be from here. So first leg up, break, and then the start of that second leg up, which as you can see did not go past that high right there. So anyway, didn't happen. It just couldn't get past that high. So that's why you don't want to push your targets out of these highs right here. Again, that's why I didn't like pushing it out right there. But anyway, so we push on lower here, we fade back into the overnight low, the overnight high, and we immediately start pushing out. Not ideal for a reversal pattern. What I really would like to see, or at this point it's not going to happen quite as the way I'd like it, but what I would have liked to see is a push lower, and then a clear failed second entry, because this uptrend, it would be uptrend, which even though this has a break and a new high before the reversal, on a bigger picture, this is clearly all just part of the same move up. And so we have uptrend, break, first attempt higher, and then second attempt higher right there. That way it would be confluent with the failed second entry on the other side of the count at a perfect reversal area being the overnight high. So this is what I would like to see. Obviously it's not going to always set up cookie cutter like these drawings I have here. This is just generally, what you want to see price to do in these areas. As you can see, after it faded, we're getting a couple attempts higher, but it's already pushing out of the overnight high. It's getting a bit sideways. It's getting kind of choppy. So it's not setting up perfectly here, but one thing that could still happen is we have our first push down. If we start to push lower again with this measured move in play, it's very possible for price to form a smaller failed second entry. Let me just get this. Oh, I didn't mean to do another copy. What we could get is another failed second entry. So while this measured move is still in play, down to here, we could get a smaller entry using the momentum from this larger measured move. And, after we push lower here, it would be first entry long, second entry long, failure coming off the overnight high. So I hope that's clear. You can use larger measured moves to your advantage. Some people don't even draw measured moves. I would recommend doing that. Um, you know, they're too common and they're too accurate to ignore. And so anyway, this is what I'd like to see in this area here. This is going to be it for the video. I'm going to trade for a bit longer before taking off. Let me check on the ES. Yeah, we're not getting that second leg down as fast as I was wanting, but I was thinking maybe we could get something down here. So, I'm going to trade for probably 20 more minutes, and then I might do another post on the site, but, it'll already be posted on the site by the time this video is uploaded anyway. So, anyway, that's going to do it for this video. I hope it helped out in some way, and thanks for watching. I'll see y'all next time.